Before I get this started, I just want to have one little caveat. I'm one guy, and one guy can only play so many games. If by chance you see a game or think that a game is deserving of this list but isn't on it, it probably means I didn't get to it. That doesn't mean this game is a bad game, but that means I just didn't have time to play it. So if there is a game that you feel is worthy of being on a Game of the Year list, that's fine. These, however, are my personal games of the year, the games that I finished and the games that I played. So without further ado, let's get the video started. 2014 was a big year, and a ton of games came out, but only a few games really stuck with me throughout the year. Without further ado, these are my games of the year for 2014. Very few games really play with your sense of perspective and make you question how you get from point A to point B. That all changes in Monument Valley. This unique puzzle platforming game allows you to turn, pull, and rotate the environment to allow your princess protagonist to walk to the end of the level. It's a simple concept, but Monument Valley really takes smart creative level design and cranks it up to 11. And while it's a tad short and a little light on story, it's a journey well worth making in my opinion. At first glance, I really didn't think much of Neverending Nightmares. I thought it would be akin to Claire or Lone Survivor, only more scary. But after playing it, I realized how psychologically terrifying it was. This is accomplished by the rather unique pen and ink art style and the chilling atmosphere the dev creates. While the story can be a little confusing and hard to follow at times, the story behind the game's development really made a connection with me and made me appreciate the game and what it was trying to do. It's probably one of the best horror games I've played all year. Kids these days really don't know how good they've got it. Able to play video games whenever they want from the comfort of their homes? Back in my day, we had to travel to arcades to get our Pac-Man or Snake fix on. Pixacat takes you back to that simpler time of arcades, albeit with a shinier coat of paint. Pix combines mechanics from the classic Pac-Man and Snake into one epic arcade title, and it also adds some extra content along with the base game, such as a laboratory mode and battle mode. Pixacat is one solid arcade game, one that in my opinion should be considered a modern-day classic. This game was a very challenging puzzle game. Granted, the AI was a little troublesome to deal with as the game went on, but I still loved every minute of playing it. The art style is so eye-pleasing and different, it really drew me into this world. And while I personally could have done without the roguelike mechanics, I still say this is one of the most enjoyable puzzle games I've played this year. The Shantae titles are developed by the small team over at WayForward, and wow, these guys know what they're doing. Pirate's Curse is a sequel to the hit DSiWare title Shantae Risky's Revenge. And boy does it improve on everything Risky's Revenge did. It also throws a few new things to the player to keep things fresh, and overall improves on what Shantae Risky's Revenge did. It is my Metroid-style game of the year, and everyone should take a look at it, especially since the Wii U version is releasing on Christmas. Why not put some pirate under your Christmas tree this year? After surviving and thriving in the world of Kickstarter, Shovel Knight showed a lot of promise, and boy did it deliver. Especially in a day and age where the market is flooded with retro-inspired platformers, Shovel Knight not only shook the gaming world up, it conquered it for a good amount of time. Never before have I been taken back to my childhood in the way Shovel Knight did. With its solid controls and perfect difficulty, this is a game I can highly recommend, especially if you love anything from the old days of the Super Nintendo. You need to pick this game up. Telltale's Walking Dead Season 1 was one of my favorite games in 2012. It took me on an emotional ride that left me sobbing in a puddle when it ended. Season 2 leaves me with a somewhat similar taste in my mouth, but while Season 2's ending wasn't as emotionally devastating as Season 1's, I still feel it's a game any Walking Dead fan should play, especially if you like creating your own tale in the Walker universe. Valiant Hearts is one of those games that really stuck with me after I finished it. Gameplay-wise, it's a very simple 2D puzzle game. The game takes place during World War II, and really showcases how horrible war really is. And with so many games in this day and age romanticizing the concept of war, it's really refreshing to see a game that tells it how it is. And so, there you guys have it! Those were my games of the year for 2014. Now, I do have a few honorable mentions to mention right here, and the reason I didn't put these guys on the list was mainly because I never finished them. But they are still good games nonetheless, and games I highly recommend you check out if you're interested. So first up is Five Nights at Freddy's 1 and 2. While I felt like the Five Nights at Freddy's games were fun to play and super duper scary, I did feel like they were a little too hard and a little bit more trouble than they were really worth, so that was why they didn't get on the list, mainly because I never got to Five Nights. Next up is Persona Q. Now, Persona Q Labyrinth of the Shadows is actually a little different than any other Persona game. It's taking a little bit of gameplay mechanics from the Etrian Odyssey series, which Atlas also made, and they are wonderful. This is a wonderful mesh of both 3 and 4 characters, and also solid gameplay mechanics from the Etrian Odyssey series, along with mixing in that wonderful personality of the Persona series. I really recommend that for any RPG fan out there. This game is wonderful and one that should not be missed. Next up is Shadow Warrior. Now, Shadow Warrior I've actually only delved in a teeny tiny bit, but from what I've played, it's hilarious, fun, over-the-top, first-person shooter action game. If you like, say, Doom or Duke Nukem, then you'll probably like this game. There's a ton of secrets, way more than I've ever found in any game of recent playthrough, and it's just a whole lot of fun to play. I would recommend you at least find this rare gem and give it a try for yourself. And lastly, we have Velocity Ultra 2X. Now, I played the original Velocity game, and it was a ton of fun. It mixed very nice twin-stick shooter action. Velocity 2X does an excellent job of mixing not only twin-stick shooter mechanics, but it also mixes in a little bit of speedrunnery side-scroller mechanics as well, and they do it fairly well. It's one of my most favorite games to just sit back and play every now and then. It's super fun on the Vita and even funner on the PS4.